Hello, friends, and welcome to Parks Crafty Creations. I'm your host, Brian Parks. If you've ever had a favorite pair of jeans that got just a little too snug at the waist, today's video is for you. There's nothing better than a pair of jeans that fit just right. And there's nothing worse than finding one day that your waistband is just too tight to be comfortable. But fear not, all is not lost. Today, I'll teach you the professional way to expand your jeans waistband by 1 to 3 inches and add a little stretch where you need it the most. Hello, friends. Alright, so this is going to be a little bit different format from what we usually do. It's going to be a lot less scripted because I'm going to be describing this process as I'm going through and actually doing it with you. This is one of those processes that might seem a little bit scary if you've never done it before, because in order to do what we need to do, we are going to have to disassemble our jeans up to a certain point. And there is one point where we will be making an adjustment that is irreversible, and that'll be actually cutting the waistband right along here in order to add the elastic in. So there are a few items that we're going to need in order to do this. First of all, you're going to need to find some wide elastic. This one is 6-inch black elastic. I found this off of Amazon. And what it is we're going to be opening up the seam about 5 inches here. And this is going to be filling that gap. So we need an elastic that's going to be wide enough to do that. This one is actually sold by the yard. So you're going to need that. Also, if you have access to a serger or you own a serger, I would highly recommend using that on this project. If you don't, you can also use the overlock overcast foot, which I've described and actually demonstrated in an earlier video of mine. If you haven't seen that video yet, I'll put a link in the description below, and I'll also put a link up above here that'll take you right to that so you can actually see how to use that and see what I'm talking about. On top of that, you're also going to need 2 types of thread. You're going to need a thread that matches your denim, and you're going to need a thread that matches your top stitching that came with your jeans. This is the part that's going to really make this look professional and make it so that people can't tell that this was ever altered. As far as anybody knows, by the time we're done with this, the jeans will have looked like they came this way. So, without further ado, let's get started. Now, our first step is going to be to extend the line of our side hem, which is where we're going to be letting this out on both sides. So for that, I'm going to take a ruler and I'm going to match that to my hem. And then I'm going to take my chalk and I'm just going to draw a straight line along my waistband. There we have it. Okay. So, step 1, all done. Pretty easy, right? No problems. Okay, now take a nice deep breath and get ready for step 2. This is the part that people will start to wig out a little bit on, and if you haven't done this before, it can make you pretty nervous. We're actually going to have to take out the hem of our waistband here, our top waistband here, and all of our side stitching here. So that includes all of this. We've got a professional serge that's in there, and on these jeans in particular, there's actually a couple of different places where they've stitched it together. So we're going to need to take those out in order to let out the side of our jeans. So let's get started. We'll start with the waistband here. As we do this, be careful with your seams. Be nice and gentle. We don't want to tear the fabric, and we don't want to make a mess of the stitching beyond what we absolutely have to. this might also be a good time to mention, if you haven't seen my electric seam ripper video, now might be a good time to check that out. There are some places in this where that might come in handy. And of course, I'll put a link to the video down in the description below. All right, so there we have it. Our waistband is opened up. Now we've got to open up the side of our jeans, which means we're going to be opening up this part here. And I'm only going to open it as much as I absolutely need to. So I'm going to be opening about an inch below here. I want to open it about 5 inches. Okay, make that 4 inches. So to do that, we're going to turn this to the inside. And the first thing we're going to do is take out this serge stitch. This is the scariest part of this whole project, I promise. Now, as we're doing this, you gotta keep in mind how wide you're needing to make your jeans. In my case, I'm going to open the waistband up 3 inches. So each one of these sides is going to open up 1.5 inches. So the wider that you need to open this up, here I'll use on this side. I haven't done the top stitching on this yet, but I'll show you on this side. So this is my 1.5 inches. And I'm doing that on both sides. The further you got to open it this way, the further down you've got to go this way to open it up. Now, I have 2 more sets of thread here that I need to take out. I got this blue one here, and I've got a white one here. I don't know if you can actually see that. You probably can. I need to take both of those out. And I'm going to go to about 1 inch below the grommet here. So this is the point where we're going to irreversibly change our jeans. So make sure that you're ready for this. Make sure that this is what you want to do to them. So what we're going to do, this chalk line that we drew earlier, we're going to take our shears and we're going to cut right up. There we go. No turning back now. Now that we have our jeans all opened up, we're going to set these aside. And we're going to start working with our elastic a little bit. So here I have my elastic that I'm going to be using. And I'm going to cut off a piece so I'm not working with this whole roll here. This will be fine. There we go. So down the middle, this is going to we're going to draw a chalk line And this will be following where our hem is. So I'm going to draw just a line going right down the middle of it. Okay, I'm a little off, but that's okay. Now remember I said I want to make this 1.5 inches. So I'm going to put my line in the middle of my inch mark on my ruler or on my cutting board or on my self-healing mat. There we go. So now I'm going to go out. I have 1 inch. I'm right in the middle of 1 inch. I'm going to go out another 1/4 inch on each side. I'm going to mark it. There we go. Bring this down a little bit for you. So like I just said, there's my center line. This follows the hem that I just opened up. And I'm going to go out 3/4 inch on each side so that it's 1.5 inches. Now we're going to have to measure our waistband on our jeans. So here's our jeans and here's the waistband. And my waistband in particular is 1 5/8 inches. So I need to remember that now, because I'm going to take that and we're going to bring this back to our piece of elastic. And I'm going to measure down from those 2 marks I just did 1 5/8 inches. So 1 5/8. There we go. I'm going to do that on both sides. And I want to make sure I keep that line straight, so that's why I'm using my top edge here. So 1 5/8. There we go. So now you see I've got 2 marks here. And I'm going to take my ruler and just going to draw a line from one to the other. And that represents where my hem is going to end up landing. So that should be 1.5 inches. There you have it, 1.5 inches. Now, what about the rest of it? On my previous side, I'm going to bring over the jeans for a second here. I went down 3 inches. I went down 3 inches from the bottom of my waistband. So I'm going to go from the corners of those 2 lines. We're going to go down from here, and we're going to go down 3 inches. We're going to go from the corners here, down 3 inches, and we'll put a mark there. Now, I'm going to draw my diagonal line like so, from both sides. And this is why having accurate measurements on those first few lines is really essential. And I'm slightly off on that. I'm talking about being accurate and I'm blowing it myself. Okay, there we go. So this is going to be the actual part that's showing on our denim when we're finished. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to add the seam allowance. So I'm going to give it a 5/8 inch seam allowance all the way around. So we'll mark there. And we will mark there. Now we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to make sure that we have a 5/8 inch seam allowance the whole way down. All right. So there's my piece. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this out. Okay, so this is going to be the piece that we insert. Now, we're going to go over to either our serger at this point or the overlock overcast foot, and I'm going to serge along these edges, these four sides. This edge is already finished, and this edge is already finished, so no need to touch those. While I'm over there, I'm also going to be addressing a couple of pieces on this. This edge here that we let out, we're going to need to serge. We're going to need to serge all along this edge here. So all along this, we're going to want to enclose that all the way as far as we can to the edge. And we're going to do that on both sides here. Now, if you're doing both sides at once, of course, you'll have the other side to do as well. I've already tackled this on the other side, so I just need to tackle this on this one. So we're going to do this. We're not going to worry about our waistband. Okay, don't worry about that. Okay, that has its own little process for us to enclose that, so that stays nice and neat. And you can see here how that ends up finishing out. And it works on both sides. Okay, so let's head over to our serger and get these edges nice and cleaned up. All right, so there you have it, guys. We just finished up serging and finishing up the edge of our elastic, as you can see, as well as the two edges of our jeans that we just opened up along the hem. Again, don't serge the edge of your waistband. That's not necessary. We're going to be turning that under. We're going to be folding that under to finish that off. So this means we are up to the fun part of this whole project. We're going to start putting our jeans back together. All right, so I've gone ahead and pinned my elastic to the first side of my jeans, as you can see here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use a 5/8 inch seam allowance, and I'm going to stitch all the way up. That'll go along there. I'm not going to attach the waistband just yet, because that'll fold under. Right now the jeans are turned inside out, but that'll fold under. This should actually lay perfectly flat in there, so the top should line up without buckling the elastic. And then when we're ready to do that, that'll just turn in. It'll just turn under like so, and then we'll do a top stitch down there. So let's start with the first part. We're going to take this to the sewing machine, and I'm going to do a 5/8 inch seam allowance right along the edge here of our first side. And then I'm going to attach the other side and do the exact same thing. Let me turn this way for you. So right now we have the two right sides facing each other. So when it's turned, after it's stitched and turned out, that's what it should look like. And then it'll do the same thing on the other side. And it's starting to come together. All right, let's take this over to the sewing machine. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and sew this with a 5/8 inch seam allowance. Of course, don't forget your back stitch. As you can see, I stitched the first side. And we've left our waistband off, because we'll be doing that separately. But that part's stitched on. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the second side. Same way. Okay, so we've come to the waistband, and as you can see here, I've already stitched this one up. So all we do, we're going to take our elastic and we're going to fold it. Right now it's having a tendency to do this. We're going to flatten it out, and if you've done this right, you should be able to slip your waistband right over the edge, just like so. So it's enclosed, and all you're going to do is you're going to turn this edge under just enough that you can top stitch down along it, and you're going to stitch along the edge, along the bottom, along this edge here, and along the top, just like what you see that I've done here. I've gone ahead and stitched along the bottom, I stitched along the edge, and then I went and stitched along the top, and that fully encased my elastic. So we're on to the home stretch. I'm going to go ahead and encase this one, get this all stitched up, and then we'll tackle the top stitching to match our accent threads. Okay, so there we have it. We're on to the home stretch. We've gone ahead and stitched on our waistband. We're all stitched up on the sides. We stitched that last waistband there. So everything is attached now, nice and stretchy. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do our top stitching that's going to match our accent stitches. So we're going to go along where we ended, and we're going to overlap where it ended to lock those stitches in. We'll go around and up, and anywhere else, like down here, I have a little bit that I have to do that goes up along here. And that's about it. We'll go ahead and take care of that, and that will about finish us up. Now you probably noticed that I switched out my sewing machine to a different one. This is actually my old Necky. Reason being, mostly just because I ran out of empty bobbins. This is a slightly more robust machine, but it is definitely an older machine. Alright, and there we have it, guys. All finished. We've got our trim back on there, Everything's stitched up nice and neat, nice and professional looking. Is it absolutely perfect? Absolutely not. Will anybody notice? I highly doubt it. So that is how we add elastic expansion to a pair of jeans. That's that side. And then here's the other side. I think they turned out pretty darn good. I'm looking forward to being able to wear these jeans again. And there you have it. You've added comfort, saved money, and given your favorite jeans a second chance at life. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to give us a like below, as it really does help out the channel. Do it now, please. And if you're new to our channel, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell icon so you'll always be notified whenever a new video drops. And hey, while you're at it, if you love what we do here, be sure to share us with your friends. Thanks for joining me. I'm Brian Parks for Parks Crafty Creations. We'll see you next time.